Hey everybody, it's Kevin from Gemini Outdoors, and today we will be evaluating the MTech MT151. Stay tuned. This is the MTech MT151 chopping test. Okay, the MTech did pretty good. Not as good as the Parang and the K-Bar heavy buoy, but it still did a pretty good job. This is baton testing of the MTech 151. Going through it like it ain't no problem at all. For all you MTech haters out there, MTech does make some good knives. That's proving it right here. Like I said, it went through that wood just as good as that K-Bar did. MTech 151. Baton testing doing very well. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed the testing videos that you just seen of the MTech 151 doing its work. I didn't get to test it as much as I would like. This happened during the summer when I had a lot of my attention focused on family matters. So I didn't get to test it as much as I would have liked, but I did test it, in my opinion, enough to warrant an evaluation. So let's talk about this product. You can get it. Where I got it from was Amazon.com. You can get them for around 25 to 30 bucks, which is an amazing deal on a product like that. So let's talk about theory of use for right now. My primary theory of use for this is as a survival blade, and you can look on some of my other videos where I talk about the theory of use, I believe, videos. For survival blade. It's a big blade. It's going to handle wood, which the test footage proved, and it can be a real handy tool for you when you're in the woods, and you need a good survival blade. Of course, this knife is very big. I'm going to show it to you here. It's a real nice blade. I really like it quite a bit. To be honest with you, it's big enough to get the job done, but it's not so bulky and heavy that you can't carry it. It's pretty decent weight, to be honest with you. The MT151 could also probably be used in a self-defense role. but I wouldn't use it as a tactical blade or anything like that. It's just too big for that particular TOU. Let's talk about some specs on this blade. Okay, the weight is 1 pound 1 ounce, but it's very, very carryable. It doesn't feel heavy in the hand, is what I'm saying. You know, while doing, I noticed that when I was doing the testing, that it, you know, when I presented the blade to the wood and I started hitting on it, it didn't, you know, it didn't want to jar my hands real bad. I didn't feel a whole lot of shock in my hands. It seemed to go through the wood pretty easily. The overall length is 14.75 inches. The blade length is 9 inches. The materials, it is made out, the blade is made out of 440 stainless steel, which is the reason why the price point is so good. This would be an awesome starter blade to start off with. If you want something that's not going to break the bank, you ain't going to have to go out there and you know, spend a fortune on the thing. This is your knife. The handle is a polymer. I'm just going to start calling this rubberized stuff like a polymer type deal. It seems to do really well. It is a full tang blade, of course. Let's get to some positive aspects about this blade. The MT151 is made of 440 stainless steel. It's a strong stainless steel. Don't get me wrong, but it's not as strong as carbon. The knife came very sharp out of the box, which I have heard some people complain saying that it didn't. This one came extremely sharp. I could shave hair with it right out of the box. It has a very thick spine. Hopefully you can see that. It processes wood very well, like I said, and you can see it in the test. You've seen it in the test footage. Stainless steel is also rust resistant, which means you ain't got to worry about it rusting as much as you do a carbon steel blade. You know, with a carbon steel, you have to do a little bit of upkeep to it. You have to keep it oiled, stuff like that. That can be a little bit of a challenge when you're in the woods. You know, depending on how long you're out there. But you know, having a rust resistant blade is always a good idea. The handle's made of a polymer type material that is comfortable, kind of rubberized type of material, which is very comfortable. Like I said, I didn't really feel hardly any shock when I was using it. It absorbed that shock very well. It also has this little hand guard where you ain't got to worry about your hand slipping up on the blade when you're, you know, if you're having to thrust it or something like that. So it's very, very, very good. The factory sheath, as you can see, I mean, you're talking about $25 to $30 knife. You're not going to get much. I mean, it's just a nylon sheath with I don't even think it don't even have a liner in it. It's just, it is what it is, and it, you know, it's all right. It's okay. I think in my notes I put it's okay. It works. I mean, I'm not really going to be carrying this blade that much on your hip anyway. This is something that your survival blade you're generally going to carry in your pack. You know, something like this hanging off your hip, it is going to weigh you down a little bit. I wouldn't carry it very far from camp. And the blade handles very well for its size. Some blades you got, you know, when you turn them and you're kind of moving them, all that weight in the blade tends to make it floppy in a way. That one doesn't do it. Moving on now, let's go to the negative aspects of the blade. The MT151, it is made of 440 stainless, which can also be a negative aspect to it, not only a positive but a negative. It's softer than 1095 carbon, or any carbon for that matter. It tends to chip easier if you hit the ground. And what I mean by that, like as you're batoning and you get down to the end of the wood, generally what I do to stop that problem is I will stop hitting it all the way through the wood, and then I'll just take it and pry the rest of it loose. Now that's one way you can avoid that problem. But you know, if you hit it with gravel or stuff, it's going to chip. So keep that in mind. You don't want, unless you know you want to put you up say a chopping block or something like that. That would be a good idea. 440 also requires a lot more sharpening. It doesn't have quite the edge holding retention that a carbon steel blade's got. So remember that it's going to require some sharpening. You know, you can buy the you know, the mechanical sharpeners and all that. I like to hand sharpen because you may have to sharpen it when you're out in the woods, out in the field. So keep that in mind, you know, as well. I prefer to hand sharpen. Word of mouth. We're getting to word of mouth now. Most of the YouTube reviews that I've seen about the knife are mostly positive. Most of the negative reviews that I've seen have been MTech haters. And those are the kinds of people that they hate the blade for the name. You know, it's an MTech, it's a piece of crap. Well, I've been using MTechs now. It depends on what kind of MTech you get. But for the most part, the MTechs that I've used and I have evaluated have done very well. So I'm not in that same camp. I'm not a MTech hater. The breakages I can contribute to destruction testing. There's a lot of destruction testing now out on YouTube, and I really don't like it. I mean, it only shows you what will break the blade. It doesn't show you what the blade is actually capable of. That's why I do not do destruction testing. I do not do torture testing. I do just what the blade's supposed to do. What do I expect it to do when I get into the woods? And I really recommend to my fellow YouTubers that don't make destruction testing the test that you judge it by. If you're going to say, hey, that just for entertainment purposes, let's just see what this thing can take, by all means go ahead. But if you're actually doing a truthful eval/review, then do reasonable testing on it. The main complaint that I've been hearing on YouTube about this blade is that sometimes you will get a blade that is kind of curved a little bit coming from the factory, from the warehouse. I didn't have that problem with this one. It gets perfectly straight. I had no real issues with it. The only thing on this, and I don't think you can see it on camera, is the swedge on this side is ground down a little bit further than the swedge on this side. That's the only thing that I've noticed from this blade. Other than that, I mean, you can see it right there. I mean, it's very straight. So that's the only thing that I noticed, and I ain't gonna complain about that. That ain't no big deal to me. All right, let's get to the eval card because I'm running out of battery. Performance, and I do need to say something. I will be swapping out a few things on the eval card in the future, but I'm going to just run down and do it the way I'm doing it right now. Performance, I gave it a 9 out of 10. It performed very well at the testing that I did with it. Like I said, I would like to have done more, but I already told you what happened with that. Value, 9 out of 10. I mean, go try to find a Schrade at that price. Go try to find a K-bar at that price or a Cold Steel at that price. You're not going to find it. I mean, it's, as far as value is concerned, it just dominates the market for that concern. Durability, I gave it a 9 out of 10. Of course, the chipping problems and the sharpening issue, that could come into play later on down the road if I decide to do an updated eval of this, which I don't know if I'm going to do or not. Versatility, I gave it an 8 out of 10. As far as the different blades are concerned in my system, the survival blade is probably the least versatile and the least compatible. You're going to use it for a survival blade, plain simple, but it's nice to have. A knife is always nice to have. Compatibility, same, 8 out of 10. Simplicity, 9 out of 10. A survival knife, that's as simple as you can get, pretty much. Maintenance, I gave it a 9 out of 10. You're going to sharpen it a lot. You don't have to worry about oiling it and stuff like that, but you will have to sharpen it quite a bit because of the stainless steel in it. Theory of use, I gave it a 10 out of 10 because, like I said, it's a great starter knife. It's something that you can start off with. A lot of guys could probably use it as their main survival blade. What I suggest now, you go out, way out into the wilderness and do it. If you're just going to stick around the house, if you're going to like a little park or something like that, and you just want the blade there just in case you need it, I think that's fine. I think if you were going to go out, way out there in the wilderness, I would say take a backup with you too, just in case. But I suggest that with the good ones too. Well, this is a good one, so I would say that with any blade. Let me clarify that. Speciality, I gave it an 8 out of 10. There really isn't anything too special about it. Lockability. On my lockability scale, I gave it a 10 out of 10. I really like the knife. I like the way it feels. It handles very well. I don't have very many issues with it at all compared to some other blades. The shock when you're batoning isn't that bad. Chopping either. For an overall quality score of 89 out of 100, it was 1 point away from getting into the Ass Kickers Club. So it's a pretty good knife. Letter grade of B. Alright, so let's get on to the recommendations to the manufacturer. I recommended don't stop making the blade. I think that's probably going to be a cash cow of MTech if it isn't already. Maybe eventually in the future you might make one out of like a 1095 carbon steel, some sort of carbon steel, but keep the price point where it's at if you can. Maybe make a knife similar to it, maybe in a 7 to 8 inch blade range to get down into maybe like a utility type of blade, maybe even down into the 5 to 6 inch range. My recommendations to my viewer is it's recommended, bordering on highly recommended. In closing, excuse me, I mean, just looking at the blade itself, I mean, it's a copy basically of a cold steel Trailmaster, and it's a well-designed blade. It's it's got a lot of features on it that I like. Like I said, it batons well, it chops well, and for a starter knife, you're not going to beat it. Then maybe after you get used to using, this is something you could train on. You could beat on it a whole lot. And then what you can do is upgrade to like a cold steel Trailmaster, or you can upgrade to like a K-bar heavy buoy or something like that along those lines. Maybe even an Ontario RTAC 2, something of that nature. I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh yeah, I forgot to say it does have a lanyard hole. That's in the should have been in the specs, but let's throw it in here in the closing. And I'm just say that from my experience with it so far, it has been a great blade. Am I planning on using it more? Yes, I am. I'm going to use it some more. I may do an updated eval on it in the future. But right now, I'm so far behind because of the summer season was a bust for me. And we're heavy into the winter season now, so I'm not able to do anything right now. That it's probably going to be a while before I do an updated eval on it. But I think that this knife would do you well for a starter knife to train with, maybe to train a child with, getting a child started into the survival world, camping world, or whatever, or whatever you want to say. But I really like the knife. I hope you enjoyed the eval. Y'all stay safe.